Non-stop spying on an incoming administration. It's all routine. Let's see, from Election Day 2016 to the president's inauguration, 48 times. Clapper did it, Brennan did it, Comey did it. Oh, even the Treasury Secretary did it. And then the UN ambassador 7 freaking times. Take a look.
So you did not know that it would be General Flynn when you asked to unmask these conversations?
Well, no, I did not. Now, it's possible. I mean, this is 3.5 years ago, so I don't remember the specific reports in question. It's a routine thing. It's appropriate and legitimate. When you have a valid foreign intelligence target engaging with a U.S. person, is it, for example, an insider, someone in the government engaging with that foreign adversary?
When you were Director of National Intelligence, did you see any direct evidence of collusion between General Flynn or any Trump campaign official with the Russians?
No, I did not.
I did not? Then why were you unmasking him 48 times in that short period? Clapper testified under oath he never saw any evidence of any collusion. Same as everybody else. Nobody there saw it, and then Schiff went out and lied to the American people. Look at how many, CNN, how they let him get away with lie after lie for years. Here's just a small sample. Let's take a look.
I do think, and then, of course, the criticisms levied on the Obama administration, well, you might ask, what was the Trump campaign doing the same time, with essentially aiding and abetting the Russians and having contacts, dozens of contacts with Russians. I think this past weekend is illustrative of what a great case officer Vladimir Putin is. He knows how to handle an asset, and that's what he's doing with the president.
Aiding and abetting, he just said he had no evidence. Here with reaction, he's the host of Sunday Night's Life, Liberty, Levin, 8 p.m., #1 show, and his time slot by far, author of the #1 New York Times bestseller, Unfreedom of the Press. I call him the great one, Mark Levin. Mark, he testified, and so many others, we all know they said to the House Intel Committee, no evidence of any collusion. That's not what the mob said in the media, and that's not what he said.
They ought to take a wing in Leavenworth and put all these guys in there. What they have done to this country, the rule of law, the Constitution, and now our courts with this judge, Emmett Sullivan. And I want to talk about him in particular. What is a judge? And what is a judge supposed to do? You know, my first book was on judges. It's called Men in Black, how the Supreme Court is destroying America. Well, actually, it's worse than that. Judges are human beings. They're imperfect human beings. When you look at judges over history, some have been great, some have been morons. Some have been freedom fighters, some have been racists and bigots and corrupt, and I'm just talking about the Supreme Court justices. What's happened here? We have an imperfect human being, he's of flesh and blood, and he obviously hates Trump, and he obviously loves the Obama administration, because that's what's going on here. This is the Obama administration against the incoming Trump administration, the Trump candidacy, and the Trump... American citizen, as is everybody else who's been unmasked by the Obama administration. They used the surveillance of the Russian ambassador, and I suspect many others, as an excuse to backdoor their way into eavesdropping on American citizens, particularly those who work for the Trump administration, in clear violation of the purpose, intent of the Bill of Rights and the 4th Amendment. Let me explain another amendment to the judge. That would be Amendment 5, the 5th Amendment. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, and property without due process of law. How the hell can you look at the documents that have been released recently on what the government did, specifically the Obama administration did, to Michael Flynn, among others, and say that there was due process of law? You have these phony former federal prosecutors, these phony former Democrats who worked in the Justice Department. You have these clowns on TV who are splitting hairs. He pleaded guilty. He pleaded guilty. The man never had due process under the 5th Amendment of the Constitution. Now, let me help out the judge a little bit further. You need what's called a case or controversy. You don't have a case, and you don't have a controversy. The parties have dropped out. The parties want to get out. You don't have the right to continue to do what you're doing. So what does the judge do? I don't like what the parties are doing. Whoa. What are you doing, Judge? I don't like it. I'm going to invite anybody who wants to file an amicus brief, a homeless guy, the guy at the fryer at McDonald's, and specifically, I'm going to ask another former judge, also appointed by Clinton, as this judge was. I loved his op-ed in the Washington Post on Monday. He says, I have all this power. I can ignore the executive branch and separation of powers. I can do whatever I want. I want him to send me a brief and tell me what I can do. In other words, another backdoor way to violate the Constitution. Judge, you expect us to follow your rulings and your opinions? You think you are the law? The United States Supreme Court, as Sean just alluded to, last week, in a unanimous decision that will be 9-0, written by Ruth Bader Ginsburg, took a situation like this where the Ninth Circuit was using amicus curiae, friend of court briefs, to change the nature and position the case, not what the parties were fighting over, but what the court wanted them to fight over. So this judge is a rogue judge. He's out of control. He should recuse himself, but he's too damn arrogant, and he won't. So let me make a suggestion to the folks over there at the Department of Justice. They got a lot of smart attorneys in the Office of Legal Counsel and elsewhere. I used to work at that grand Department of Justice before the left destroyed it. It's called a writ of prohibition. It's almost never used because we almost never have situations like this. And you file it with the appellate court, the D.C. Circuit Court. An appellate court's order to a lower court prohibiting it from acting because it lacks jurisdiction. This judge lacks jurisdiction to do what he's doing according to the United States Supreme Court last week, according to the United States Constitution. And if he wants to be an Obama flunky and a never-Trumper, then take your black robe off, Judge, leave the courtroom, and join the rest of us. But if you're not going to conduct yourself like a serious judge, you either recuse yourself, resign, or the department has to go over his head to the D.C. Circuit and get him the hell off this case. That's it.
It might have also unmasked the Trump family, according to Devin Nunes and Trey Gowdy. We'll be watching. Great analysis. Mark Levin, every Sunday night, right here on Fox News. Life, Liberty, Levin. Up next, an investigation into whether